I've started the recording. This is Design 301. It's our lecture for Tuesday, November 30th at 1 o'clock. We are on a Google Meet. And this is week number 15. Woohoo. And I call it a preview of doing advanced stuff. And what I mean by advanced is it's multi-industry, multi-industry collaboration. If you're just doing something that you can do by yourself on your own, probably a napkin is good enough. Or not even a drawing at all. You just go do it. And maybe take some notes on the way. It's when it's time to work with other people that you kind of need, or if it's something that you have to do over and over and over again, that you want more formal documentation. And excuse me. And when you start working between industries and having to collaborate, that's when you get to more advanced stuff. And so we're going to use Revit to sort of demonstrate it. You're going to do all the work. You're going to pretend that you're civil, and then you're going to pretend that you're architectural, and then you're going to pretend that you're a contractor, and step through some of the processes for it. Now, to do that, I've given you a really substantial playlist. It's a step-by-step on how to get through. And most of the steps took me a minute or two. And I think they all add up to about 30 minutes or so, which means that you should expect 2 or 3 hours. And you might expect to draw a blank somewhere in here. My suggestion is get as far as you can by Thursday. Email me a bunch of questions that I got stuck here, and I'll do my best to undo those sticking points for you on Thursday. Kind of if you wait till Saturday to do this, I mean, you'll probably run into a sticking point and only get part of it done, which is okay. It's only worth 10 points, and so it's not a huge deal. Okay, but it's a Revit, and it's kind of from square one. Okay, so it starts with how to preview the drawing, taking a look at the Revit file that I give you, drawing the property lines, creating a topo surface, and getting the foundation slab in. Now, those are pretty straightforward. Then you've got to draw the parking lot. That's not as straightforward. And add the parking lot details. And once you've got those two things done, you have to add slabs. And if anything went wrong, you have to adjust some heights. If you get that far, you're in pretty good shape. The entrance ramp might evade some of you. Okay. And then building the walls and putting on the roof. What happened to building the walls? I might have forgotten to show you how to draw the walls. And then the details, how to put your details in and create sheets. So those are all the steps. It's like, oh boy, that's a lot of steps. Well, you have to realize that you're being 3 or 4 different people in this project. I still don't think it's going to take you more than 3 or 4 hours, even with watching all of this. So before we get started on showing some of that, I'm going to talk about bearings. Okay, this is an example of writing a line as using bearings. And here's another one using bearings. And so you're going to see two different parts of it. You're going to see that there's a direction and a distance. That's a classical vector. Lines can be described by something called a vector. And a vector is just anything that can be described by a direction and a distance. There are other things that are vectors too. Okay? So this is, if I go from here to here, I can start facing north, and then I can turn myself 3 degrees and 15 minutes to the west, and then travel for 115 feet. And then I'll have that right. And that's called surveyor's units or bearings. On this one, I'll start facing south, turn 68 degrees and 52 minutes to the east, and then go 110 degrees. Now that leaves the simple ones. This one says, from here, go due west. Just face west and go 160 feet. And this one says, just face south and go 75 feet. And from here, once I've done this one, it's go due east for 63.5 feet. So that's how bearings work. Now here's another little example of it. Bearings are based on a circle. That's something that's called Azimuth Angle. The azimuth angle is how far from 0 degrees are you around a circle. And so as an example, this 90-degree mark would be an azimuth angle of 90 degrees. Of course, a circle is cut up into degrees, and there's 90, 180, 270, 360 degrees all the way around a circle. Okay, and so 1 degree, and this is bigger than 1 degree, but it's just an illustration. Each degree, if you need to be more fine than that, can be split into 60 parts, and each of those is called a minute. Okay, so each degree can be called a minute. Now you can also cut each minute into 60 seconds. Okay, but we do that rarely in our department. Rarely do we need to be that close. But you can imagine if you're trying to measure something far, 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 far away, being off by a little bit can really cause you problems. So then after seconds, it gets into tenths of seconds and blah, blah, blah. Okay, but we go by degrees mostly, and sometimes we split the degrees into minutes. Let's come over here. So this one says, again, face north, and then turn 3 degrees and 15 minutes to the west. And that lines me up to go 115 feet to get to that corner. Okay, so that's how I read this. Now in Revit, it's really not that bad. In AutoCAD, you have to actually type all this out in a very specific way. We're going to be using Revit for this one. So I'm going to skip how to type it out in AutoCAD. If you're interested, you can email me and I'll give you a little video on it. I've got one somewhere. Okay. But let's come into here and see how to do that. And I've given a video, but then I'm going to do this one for you so that you get started. Let me start a new. Do I need to save this project? I'll save it. I don't know what I've changed. And you're going to pick an architecture. You're going to pretend you're an architect. You're going to open one up. And you're going to go to this thing called Site Plan. And I think I said to make it, 1 inch equals 20 works just perfectly. Site Plan. And I'm going to put in some property lines. So first I'm going to kind of move these out of the way. I think they're a little bit in the way. So I just highlight it, hold my mouse down to move it. But it's under a tab called Massing and Site. If I go to my Site tab, I can add property lines. And I can just type them in. And I'll see if I can do it by memory. I just clicked there and I type 115. It already knows its feet. And I'm going to go north. I'll just highlight that. 3 degrees, 15 minutes. And I don't even need any signs. Just 3 space 15. And I want to go west. And then I want my next line. And my next line is 160 feet. Click, highlight, 160. And to do this, I just hold my mouse down, highlight, and type it in. North. Now, I can't just say go west. I have to always start north or south. So I'm going to go north. And then I know to go west is 90 degrees to the west. And I'll insert a new line, left click my mouse, and it's 75, and I got to click over there. 75, and it's going to be due south. Now I've got the one that I don't always remember. Anybody remember what that one was? $110.45. Click, highlight, 110.45. And then it's like south 68 space something. 52 to the east. And then I just need to close it. Now, I might have done it in a slightly different order in my demo, but that's okay. This comes up, and I place it somewhere, and then I can move it. Isn't that cool? I want to get it really close. I can use all my O snaps. There we go. Now I got it just right. And I'm using my mouse wheel to scroll and stuff like that. Wow, isn't that the coolest thing ever? And so that's what we want you to do. Now, I'm not sure in the video if I put this in there, but you can do an annotation and tag these little lines. Click on that. Oh, it says no tag. Let me click on it, and I can find annotations. It's under English Imperial. Double click, architectural or civil. Try civil. Property line tag. There it is right there. Click, open. And then I just have to click on my little lines. Isn't that the coolest, fastest thing you ever saw? Now, if I want to, I can hold my control button down and click a bunch of them at once and get rid of the leader line. And this is the weirdest thing. Normally, see, it won't let you spin it around the other way. Revit is kind of weird. Now I'm clicking enter and my arrow key to get it to line up close. So Revit sort of redid the rule book, but we're not going to worry about that. That looks pretty cool. Just like that. And I've got a property drawn. Is that really totally awesome? And then you can save it. File, save as. It is easy if everything goes right. One of the things that you'll find about Revit is if a mistake gets made, it can be really hard to fix it. So try to get things as close as you can as you move through it. And go from there. But you've got a whole bunch of work done right now. Now here's what's super, super cool. I can actually put my land in. So what this is called land planning. It's usually done by the architect or a surveyor. But then somebody also has to survey the site so that you can figure out, what the topography is. Whether it's bumpy, whether it's smooth, whether it's, got low points or high points. That all has to be figured out because water and drainage are super, super important. It's one of the key factors of civil, architectural, and land planning coordination. So here's how we do that. We're going to go to the site again, massing and site. And it's called a topo surface. Topography. What does the ground look like? And I'm going to make it a surface. And I'm going to place points. And if you look at the video, this says it's at 120 feet. But we're putting that at project elevation 0. And that's what's most commonly done. We really don't care how high above sea level it is. We want to know for this project, where is it with respect to the lowest elevation? So that becomes your 0, and right over here is where you type in the elevation. And I happen to have this memorized. The next corner is 6 feet. There's 2 corners that are at 5 feet. And then there's 1 corner at 4 feet. And now I have the ground. Oh my gosh, it is so cool. And it really is there. Isn't that awesome? So right off the bat, you've got the first little parts of it done. Then there's a whole bunch of stuff to do. Okay? And so for different drawings, you would do different things, but you can watch the videos to see how it goes from that point. One fun thing to do is to annotate and put your elevations in. Click, click. And another click. Come on, get on it. There we go. There we go. Click, click, click. That was 3 clicks. Click, click, click. Click, click, click. Now, if this little thing is in the way here, you can highlight it, right click, and hide it. Isn't that the coolest thing? Click, click, click. 3 clicks. And now all of a sudden, I have a site plan plus a topo drawing. And if I want it to look like a site plan, we're not doing all of this in the demo, but I'm just showing you a lot of cool preview of extra. So now I can duplicate this view. Duplicate. And I'll call one of these. There, I just did a right click right there, and I can rename it. Property lines. And I'm going to make one more duplicate and rename topo. Now on the property lines, I can click on the topography, right click, and hide that in view, and that all shows up. And then I need to go back in and do all my tags again, because I didn't say duplicate the details. And on the topo, I can do all sorts of cool things. I can put these back in. And you don't need to do this, but it's really cool because now I can put all my slope lines in to show where my drainage is going to be. Now I have what's called a drainage plan. So it just sort of pops out of this. You have your main site plan where you do all your work, and then stuff just shows up. It's so cool. It's really, really neat. So that gets you started just to see what can be done. And of course you can save. Now the next thing I want to do is show you how to get stuff from other drawings in here. Well, first let me show you how to get a 3D view. There's a little house up here. So you can click on the little house, or you can go to View, 3D View. And now I've got a 3D view. And you'll notice these darn things are in the way. I can right click and, well, I should be able to do that. Hold on a sec. I'm holding the control key down to select both of those. There it is. Right click, maximize. And then I'm going to hide those because I don't want them. So I just drag it, right click, hide those in the view. So now I got a 3D view, which kind of looks flat because it's not very steep. But now I need to show you something. I'm going to close a whole bunch of these. Okay, here we go. I'm going to close all but that one. Okay, so you see in the file that I gave you, you're going to see these things called drafting views. And there's all these different drafting views. Now, if you were doing this professionally, you would not be able to use these because they're images that I copied from the web, and I don't have copyright license to these. But I'm just showing them to you for educational purposes, and you're not going to use any one of these to make any money. So you are allowed to use these for this project. If you were doing this professionally, you'd have to draw over the top of all of these, and you'd have to make your own drawing. Okay? Just like if it was in AutoCAD. But I've got all these detail views that are already made, and they have stuff on them. And so I want to put these drawings from my library, my drawing that has all of the details that my company uses, and I want to put them in my drawing. Of course, this company library might have 100 of these, and I might need to pick and choose 6. Right? But I'm giving you the idea. So these are cool. I've got all these things that exist. I'm going to close them back up now. Those all exist. And bank. There. I've got my drawing. Now I want to get those into this file. And I do that by going to the Insert button, and I insert from a file. And what it does is it lets me do 2-dimensional detail views or a few other things like schedules and regions and things like that. But it lets me go get views from a file. Let me go find where I saved that file. Now yours is probably going to come with all of this in it, and you can just start drawing in it, but I'd rather have you start with a new file. Okay, so let's see, where are those? 301. There's the architectural detail library. And I think I gave that to you. And then what do I want? I want all of these drafting views to come over. And I don't know why it's all of a sudden thinking. I clicked something. Here it goes. Click, 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 click. All the drafting views are selected. And now you will see all of those drafting views under a little thing down here, and they're all in there. So that's the other part of the collaboration that I want you to see that it exists. You don't really need to be great at it. You don't need to be phenomenally fast. But you really need to understand the fact that projects that are at all complex require collaboration. And this is one way that you get to share work between files. Okay, somebody has all these, you need some of them, they give you access. It might be your boss, it might be a colleague, it might be another company that you're working with, and you pull them into your file, and then you get to work with them. So that's the other part of it. Now, since they're all in here, you should know they all have a size associated with them. Now, I've done a little work on some of these and the size might be a little different. You might have to resize these to make them fit on your sheet. If you do, you just click on it and then the information comes up. See, it says 5.5. Maybe I want to make it 5 inches wide in my drawing. Now it's 5 inches wide. Maybe to make it fit in my drawing, I need it 4.5 inches. So you have the ability to change the size as you go. And that's important because when you make a new sheet, let's say I need a sheet with all of the door details on it. Let me click each one. That one's 5, 5, and 5. Okay. So now let's say I want a sheet with all the doors on it. I click on sheet, right click, and add a new sheet. Now, this is a huge sheet. I don't want a huge sheet. I want 11 by 17. So I have to load it, go up, and at the bottom of English Imperial, you'll find title blocks. Double click, and there's an 11 by 17. Click OK. There it is. Now what's really cool, here I'm going to open it up over here, is it gives you a set of numbers. And once you click the owner, let's say that's your name, and give it a project name. Multi-industry thing. That will show up on every new sheet. And each new sheet will get the next number. That is really cool. And so I can just change the name of my sheet. I double click and type in the name. And this is going to be door detail. Now I want to put the door details on here. I can do it a few ways. One is I can go to the name, right click, and add a view. And let me put the door header detail on. Click, right click, add a view, door sill detail, click, right click, add a view, door steel door anchor detail. Now, normally these are set up so that you can get, 3, 6, 7, 8. But normally you would set that up something like this. And that's how a architect would set these up. But isn't this cool? It tells you this is view number 1 on sheet A101. And that becomes really important later on when you're looking for things. Revit keeps all of this in mind, and you can go look for things really, really quickly. And again, this is for when you have a complicated project. That's why this is advanced stuff. If you have a simple project, napkins, binder paper, think it out in your head, sketchbook, All of those work out just great. But when you have to communicate a lot of information between a whole bunch of different people, this is just a really, really cool tool. And you can see, right? Site work and surveyors can do their work. And in the very same file, architects can do their work, land planners can do their work. You can all be sharing that same model because you can just create your own view that's special to your industry in this one file. Now, they do have all these cool file sharing tools, managing links and project parameters, and there's these really cool ways of sharing all this. And what's really, really cool about Revit is you don't just share the shape and the information, you share when. So it's shape, where, and when. Like it's this one set up so that there's existing. You can show things when you start at the very first existing, and you can show things for new construction. And it all exists in this same file. Which is really, really cool. Now, Revit is not the only tool that does this. You can actually do it in AutoCAD. You can do it in Inventor. You can do it in ArchiCAD. You can do it in Bentley. You can do it in SolidWorks. Almost all the big main programs have this phase stuff. And if you work at it pretty hard, you can do it in SketchUp. A little bit harder. You have to do, it's not set up for you quite as nicely. Okay? And so this is really cool. And you can add new ones and all sorts of stuff. I can insert one after that, phase 1, phase 2. It's like, it's so cool. Wow, that was a whole bunch for one simple thing toward the end. But this is a preview of advanced stuff. You'll see some of this in Design 300, believe it or not. You'll see some of it in Design 302. You'll see some of it in Design 320, 325, 320. You'll start seeing these concepts and things like insert and link and insert from file and load and import. These words are going to start coming up. Link a coordination model. Kind of cool. Point clouds. You can bring PDFs in. So there we go. That have your mind a spinning? That's what we've got for today. So let me open it up. Are there questions or comments about what I showed? Yeah, lots of stuff. That is for sure. Remember that if you get most of the way through it, you'll get most of the points. And this is only worth 1/17 of your grade. Let's see what percent that is. 5% of your grade. So if you do pretty well on it and get most of it kind of sort of halfway done, it would be 2.5%. It might knock you down from 100 to a 97.5. So don't sweat this too much. But this is really the cool stuff. This is where I really like to get to at the end of the semester. And then I want you to think back about what you knew. Yeah, and oh, turn in the PDF and the file. Yes. So there's another question. I'll answer that in just a sec. I want you to think back to the very first sort of assignment that was open up AutoCAD and try to draw a line. And then look at where you are now. And everybody in this class can do this. That is such phenomenal progress. Everybody should just feel so good about where you've gotten in this class, even if it's like, darn, this is hard to double click this. What did I do there? I don't remember it all. You'll get a chance to go over it. That's good later on. This is amazing that you're to this point. So let me show the PDF. Okay, so under PDF, there's two ways to do it, and I'm going to show you one. You go to this File button, and you export. No, I'm going to say Print to Adobe Pdf. And if you combine the sheets, sometimes it doesn't work. So I'm going to say do it the hard way and do them all individually and put them somewhere. And then you can select what you want. And you can just sort of check everything. There. It'll make a PDF out of everything. Now we don't need to save that. And now it's going to go, click OK. It's going to, I can even, if I want to, make a little plot folder. Where they'll all go. Okay, I'm going to do 29 of these things. Oh, I haven't logged into Acrobat. Darn it. Have you guys ever had cancel, close. Cancel. Oh, I hate it when I do this. I'm going to sit here forever while I do that. Well, I may have to, won't let me get out of that either. I think if I do it like 30 or 40 times, it stops. Oh yeah, one for each one of the files, right? So let me go get into Acrobat. I shouldn't have done that many sheets. Okay, this is a great demo, isn't it? There, I'm 89% of the way. There we go. Okay, let me finally get open Acrobat. I usually do that when I start. I don't know why I didn't do that. Well, I'm not typing very well either. Here we go. Do all this stuff. Shame on me for not being ready. now I should be able to do it. Let's try it one more time. Here we go. Print. Adobe. Oh, and you should also make sure that you're set up for 11 by 17, which is up at the top here. And if you want to, you can set it up for black and white. Just a little bit easier. There it is. Everything looks okay. Okay. Plot folder. Looks okay. Select everything. Okay. Let's see what happens now. There it goes. Each one. Well, is it going to make me do this every time? Then I would just put it in the same spot. Let's see if it goes to the right place each time. You can see my progress in the lower left. Now, the only reason I do that instead of letting it work all at once is that for some reason I've seen on the VM where it has a hard time doing it. Yeah, well, I want them all combined. So now I'm going to combine files. I'm going to add all my open files. And there they are. And I can get rid of things that I don't want. But this is okay. Combine. Now I've got them all combined into one. You don't have to take super care. It's okay if some of this isn't what you want or things like that. But there we go. And some of them are blank and some don't make much sense. Okay, but then I know that you've got everything all done and it's kind of cool. Okay. Yeah, oh yeah. So when you were on the ship, did you have a lot of things in PDFs and things showing combined and not combined and stuff like that?
Yeah, there was it just depended on who printed it and what system, because it was all the same shipyard, and then some things there was a PDF for each different page, and then sometimes the files would be a PDF for each system,
Right.
and it was just
Right,
crazy.
yeah. And so most companies will have a standard for you to follow, right? Um, and it is best to have them all in one pack if possible, because then you just have one little email and bink, you go and you open it up and you can find it. But you can see it can be kind of hard. And there is a sheet manager. So when you do the export, you can set it up to do it in different ways. And you can actually make, when you combine these, you can save named sets. So like you could go, architectural sheets, and they call them sheet sets. Architectural sheet set, civil sheet set, because the HVAC person doesn't necessarily want to see the parking lot, right? And you as maybe the diesel mechanic didn't want to see, the communication antenna. Maybe you did, but probably not. And so it's really up to the project, yeah, and how they are. And there are other formats that work very, very well. There's one called Bluebeam, there's Navisworks, there's DWF, and those are all Autodesk sort of uh, programs that are centered on Autodesk products. So there we go. There's a little bit more. All right. Any other if you just save all your individual sheets and upload 30 sheets to me, that'll work too. But I would prefer to have it in one sheet. If you send me a lot of them, I'll probably just open up your Revit and take a look. Just go like that. Oh yeah, they're all there. Cool. Any other questions? All right. Well then, the goal then is to give it a try, get as much done as you can before Thursday's class, and email me or send me a message somehow with questions and say, okay, I was stuck here, I'm stuck there. Maybe I'll make another quick little video for you and post it up. But we'll do our best to get everything available for you. All right, so I'm going to stop.